Intermittent fasting. You've probably heard of it. It's one of the most popular health trends out there. People use it to lose weight and for various different health issues. But is it a diet? Is it a fad? Or is it a fast? Well, in today's episode of Your Best Life, we'll talk to an expert about intermittent fasting so you can determine if it's right for you. Stay tuned. Welcome to Your Best Life. I'm your host and healthy living correspondent, Beth Schomp. Today we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. Why is it so popular? Are there exceptions when someone might not want to do it? And how does intermittent fasting affect our bodies? Well, in today's episode, not only do we have a health coach to teach us about intermittent fasting, but she's going to share with us her personal journey as she did intermittent fasting as well. You're going to find today's episode extremely interesting. Please welcome Liz Bane of Lizbane Life and Balance. Hey Liz, I hear a lot of people talking about intermittent fasting or IF. Can you tell us a little bit, just explain what the definition of it is and give us more information about it? Why would someone want to do it?
Okay, sure. First of all, thank you for having me here, Beth. It's always a pleasure to talk with you about wellness. Intermittent fasting is not the latest diet craze because it's not a diet. It's something that actually works to not only help us to lose weight, but to heal our bodies.
Okay.
So it's not a diet and restricting, you can only have this many carbs, this much protein. It's more about when we eat instead of what we eat.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
It does. Healing. That's something I never thought about, that intermittent fasting was about healing your bodies. So explain a little bit more about that.
So there's this concept called autophagy, okay? And autophagy is about stressing our body to heal. And at the cellular level, it means turning over or regenerating the cells in our body so they're new and stronger and younger and healthier. And it's the same way that when we lift weights, one of the first couple of days, it's really hard when we're lifting weights. Our muscles are tired and sore. But over time, 2, 3, 4 weeks, our muscles get stronger from stressing them. So intermittent fasting stresses our body because it's pushing us to go longer without eating. So yes, we are a little bit hungry. But the longer we go, the more our body is stressed and the cells have an opportunity to regenerate and turn over and get stronger. So we become healthier from the inside out.
That's fabulous. That's a great definition of that.
Good.
So Liz, tell us more of the details of IF. I mean, what does it look like? How does it work? And have you done it? And how did it work for you?
Okay, great questions. Intermittent fasting is time-restricted eating, okay? It's eating in certain windows. Okay, so the gold standard of IF that people hear about is this thing called 16-8, which means you eat within an 8-hour window, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can eat all the healthy foods you want all day long. Starting at 6 p.m. until 10 a.m. in the morning, you don't eat. You can drink water, you can drink herbal tea, and you can drink black coffee. Those will not mess with your metabolism or the fat. So 16 hours you don't eat, 8 hours you do eat. Now that's the gold standard, but that's a very hard place for people to start. So with my clients, I usually recommend the first thing we do is we take a look at your eating schedule. How long are you going after dinner without eating? Lots of people snack in the evening, so they might stop eating at 10, 11, and they start eating again at 6 or 7 in the morning. So that only gives them maybe 8 or 9 or 10 hours, right? I try to encourage my clients to start with a 12-hour fast. Finish eating at 7 p.m. and try not to eat again until 7 a.m. And I give them some tips and tricks. And if we can do that, then we slowly build up to a 13, 14, and eventually a 16-hour fast where we use some tricks, which is how I was able to do my intermittent fasting because I wanted to do it so that I could share my experience with my clients. But After 13 hours, Beth, I was really hungry in the morning because
Yeah.
I'm very active and I needed some food. And I also like to eat breakfast, but I really wanted to do it. So the first trick I learned is from the author Dave Asprey, who wrote a book called Fast This Way. He's also the CEO of Bulletproof Coffee, which probably many people have heard of. So Fast This Way introduces this idea of taking MCT oil, okay? And you put a tablespoon of it in your black coffee with maybe a little bit of cinnamon, which is okay, and you put it in a blender. And you drink that. And the MCT oil allows your body to continue fasting. It doesn't mess with your metabolism. And it takes away the hunger. And it allows you to go from your 13-hour fast to a 14 or 15-hour fast. And after I did it for about a week straight, I finally got to 16 hours.
So when you're talking about tips and tricks, that's one of the tips and tricks that you gave or you give is
Absolutely.
the MCT oil. Okay.
Some people I know have been able to just have the discipline to do 16 hours, keep themselves busy, drink a lot of water, and get to 16 hours without the MCT oil. For me, my body needed it. And the other author that I recommend is Dr. Will Cole, who writes a book called Intuitive Fasting, which means you really pay attention to your body. So Beth, I needed the help of the MCT oil to get to the 16 hours, but somebody else might be able to do the 16 hours like that.
Sure.
They have a different way of going about it. So we need to listen to our bodies.
Right. So how long did you do it and what were the results you got?
Great. So I was feeling a little bit off after the holidays. I felt like I'd eaten a little bit too much, which is very typical of many people,
normal.
Right? And I was feeling a little bloated and a little bit heavier than I like to feel. So I gave it a try, and I definitely did the 12-12 for about 3 or 4 nights. Then I got to my 13 and 14, and then I did the 16-8. I only did it for about 4 days. That was like enough for me. And then I went back to the 12-12. So the whole length of time was about 2 weeks that I really focused on IF. And the results I got were, I felt completely reset. I felt back to my thin self. I felt not bloated, and I felt good. My digestion was like on track. So for me, 2 weeks was all I needed.
Sure. So let's go back to that person who say they're snacking up until like 9 or 10 at night. Okay. Do you have a tip or trick for them? Because we all know late night eating, it's regardless of your lifestyle, that's never going to be good. So what tip and trick do you offer for the person who's really used to the late night snacking and that you could maybe adjust their clock a little forward? Do you have a trick for that?
I have a couple different tricks. And one of them is I ask them what they're eating for dinner. So if you're just eating a great big salad with grilled chicken, I might try to incorporate some more good fats like avocado or olive oil. Because when we eat that kind of food, it's very satiating and it stays in our body longer and helps keep our blood sugar stable. When we eat too much protein or too many carbs, our body still needs that good fat. So that's one trick. Make sure you're eating good fats at dinner.
And there is a difference between good fats and bad fats, and we'll do that in another episode.
Good idea. Good point.
Okay.
The other trick is, what are you eating at 9, 10 o'clock at night? So if you're eating ice cream and cookies, I try to crowd that out and bring in nuts and berries. And then once we get the nuts and berries to replace the sugar, then we can slowly reduce that snack, and it's not as difficult to do.
Got it. So Liz, as you've indicated, this is not a lifestyle. This is a window of time that people would do IF. But are there downsides to doing it? And are there certain health conditions that maybe someone shouldn't even consider it?
Yes.
Okay.
So firstly, IF is not a long-term strategy. For women are not recommended to do it more than 3 or 4 weeks. Okay? It's good to stress your body and help your body to heal. But then, just like in exercise, how we need recovery is sort of a hot word in the exercise world today, our bodies need that time too. So you can do IF for 2 or 3 weeks and listen to your body, how it's reacting, how it's feeling. But then when you feel like you've had enough of it, stop for a while and go back to your regular way of eating. And IF is not for everybody. So if you are struggling with a real chronic condition or disease, I would highly recommend you talk to your doctor first before you begin this regimen. Cancer, diabetes, asthma, whatever you may be suffering with, talk to your physician first before you do intermittent fasting.
So Liz, this has been so helpful. But I want to go one step further. Without getting too scientific, I'd love for you to explain to our audience literally, like how it really, really works in terms of the healing process.
I love that question. Thank you. Okay. Today, so many Americans snack all day long.
Sure.
I'm not sure why it's happened. Maybe it was from being at home with COVID, but people have breakfast, then they have a snack an hour later, then they have a snack another hour later, and then they have lunch. Or they just snack all day long and they don't even have 3 meals. And this snacking is really bad for our bodies, unfortunately. See, our bodies are like that rug in your living room, okay? That rug needs to be clean. If you have company over and you don't vacuum that rug, it gets some dirt. If you have more company over the next night and you don't vacuum again, the rug gets dirtier and dirtier, and it gets harder and harder to clean and get the dirt out. Our gut in our body is the same thing. If we are constantly eating, it never has an opportunity to be clean. There is something in our body, it's called MMI. It's like the vacuum cleaner in your gut. But this vacuum cleaner does not begin to work until you have gone a minimum of 2 hours with no food.
Wow.
All right, so no food, 2 hours, the MMI starts to do its work and it cleans your gut, which allows your gut to heal and be ready for the next food that comes in your body. But if we're constantly snacking and the MMI cannot do its job, that means your gut never has a chance to be cleaned. It gets dirtier and dirtier. And instead of healing, it can eventually lead to inflammation and disease.
So my takeaway from that is when people snack all day long, we think the downside is, oh, I'm going to gain weight, which does happen. But the bigger issue is it's the things we don't see, the internal buildup when it needs this deep cleaning that IF obviously offers. What a great explanation. I love the word picture.
Thank you.
So Liz, thank you so much. You're a wealth of information when it comes to this subject. We really appreciate your time today. So if you would like more information or coaching on intermittent fasting, Liz, how's the best way that someone can reach you?
First of all, thank you, Beth, for having me today. I always love talking to you about all things wellness. You can find me on Instagram at Lizbane, Life and Balance. Feel free to DM me. I'd love to hear from you. And you can also find me on my website, lblifeandbalance.com, lblifeandbalance.com. And I look forward to hearing from you.
And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to email me directly at yourbestlife9@gmail.com. Now be sure you like this video and please subscribe to this channel for more great videos like this. Until next time, be happy,